The true meaning behind the number 666 and the mark of the beast. Part 1. The opening, planting the seed of mystery. Welcome, seekers of truth, to a journey into the ancient whispers of prophecy, where shadows dance and symbols hold untold power. Gather closer, as the flickering candlelight reveals not just words on a page, but echoes from a distant past, inviting us to peer into the heart of one of Scripture's most enduring enigmas. For centuries, a number has haunted the imaginations of believers and skeptics alike, woven into tales of doom and whispered in hushed tones. 666, and with it, a terrifying symbol, the mark of the beast. What is the true meaning behind these chilling declarations, often misunderstood, sensationalized, and feared? Tonight, we promise to peel back the layers of misinterpretation, to delve into the historical crucible from which these symbols emerged, and to uncover the profound theological truths they were always intended to convey. Prepare to see beyond the surface, to decode the ancient language, and to discover the enduring message that resonates even in our modern world. Part 2. The main body, the deep dive. The historical and cultural context, a Roman shadow. To truly grasp the significance of 666 and the mark of the beast, we must first transport ourselves back to the desolate shores of Patmos, to the late 1st century CE. Here, the Apostle John, exiled for his faith, received a series of apocalyptic visions that would become the Book of Revelation. This was not a tranquil era. Rather, it was a period of intense persecution for early Christians under the tyrannical rule of the Roman Empire, particularly during the reign of Emperor Domitian. Christians faced immense pressure to conform to imperial cult worship, to declare Caesar as Lord, and to participate in pagan rituals. Refusal often meant ostracism, economic hardship, imprisonment, or even death. It was against this backdrop of fear, defiance, and unwavering faith that John penned his cryptic message, using symbolic language understood by his audience, but veiled from their persecutors. The beast, therefore, was not a literal monster emerging from the sea, but a powerful metaphor for the oppressive Roman Empire and its idolatrous demands. Decoding the Scripture, the language of gematria. Now, let us turn our gaze to the specific verses that have ignited so much speculation, found in Revelation 13:16-1-8. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell. They had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. The key to unlocking 666 lies in a practice common in ancient Hebrew and Greek cultures called gematria. In these languages, letters also served as numerical values. To calculate the number of the beast was an invitation to an ancient riddle. The overwhelming scholarly consensus points to the name Nero Caesar as the solution. When transliterated from Greek into Hebrew, Nran Kusur, the numerical values of these letters sum to 666. Nun égale 50. Resh, Re, Miatime. Vav, Vav. Shesh, Nun égale 50. Kof, Ka. Mea. Samix, dans Ulilshire. Resh, Re, Miatime. Total equals 666. Interestingly, an alternative spelling of Nero Caesar in Latin, which drops the second nun, Kusur, sums to 616, a variant reading found in some early manuscripts of Revelation. Both numbers, therefore, point powerfully to the same tyrannical figure. Nero, infamous for his brutal persecution of Christians, he famously blamed them for the Great Fire of Rome and tortured them gruesomely, embodied the very essence of the beast to John's original audience. He was the epitome of idolatrous power, demanding worship and punishing those who refused. The mark of the beast likewise finds its contextual meaning. In the ancient world, It was common for soldiers to bear the mark of their commander, or for slaves to be branded with their master's name. More significantly, it was a stark inversion of the Jewish custom of phylacteries, where devout Jews would wear scripture on their foreheads and arms as a sign of their covenant with God. Deuteronomy 6-8. The mark of the beast, therefore, symbolized allegiance to the oppressive worldly power, Rome and its emperor, rather than to God. To buy and sell without the mark meant economic exclusion, a reality for many Christians who refused to participate in the emperor cult, which often involved pledging allegiance to Caesar in trade guilds and marketplaces. The hidden theological meaning: allegiance and idolatry. Beyond the historical cipher, 666 and the mark of the beast carry profound and enduring theological weight. The number 6, in biblical numerology, often symbolizes human imperfection and falling short of divine perfection. 7. 3 sixes, therefore, represent the ultimate embodiment of humanity attempting to exalt itself to divine status, a trinity of human rebellion against God. It signifies humanity's futile attempt to achieve godhood without God, a prideful imitation of the Holy Trinity. The mark is fundamentally about allegiance. It asks a timeless question: to whom do we give our ultimate loyalty? Do we pledge ourselves to systems, ideologies, or leaders that demand our absolute devotion, often at the expense of our conscience and faith? Or do we reserve that ultimate allegiance for God alone? The mark of the beast, therefore, is not merely a futuristic barcode or microchip, though such interpretations have gained popular traction. Rather, it represents a spiritual and moral compromise, a conscious decision to align with worldly power that stands in opposition to God's reign and values. It is the embracing of idolatry in its most insidious forms, the worship of power, wealth, control, or any earthly authority that seeks to usurp God's rightful place in our lives. Controversies and theories. A spectrum of interpretation. Over the centuries, the interpretation of 666 and the mark of the beast has spawned a multitude of theories, often reflecting the anxieties and technological advancements of different eras. Some have proposed an esoteric interpretation, linking 666 to various occult practices or numerological systems detached from its original context. Others adhere to a futurist interpretation, believing that the beast and its mark refer to a literal Antichrist figure and a physical mark that will appear in the end times, often tied to emerging technologies like microchips or digital currencies. This view often disconnects the symbol from its historical roots, seeking a yet-to-be-fulfilled prophecy. A preterist interpretation, which we have largely explored, views these prophecies as primarily fulfilled in the historical context of John's audience, specifically with the Roman Empire and Emperor Nero. However, a purely preterist view can sometimes struggle to explain the ongoing relevance of Revelation. Therefore, a more comprehensive and balanced approach is the historicist, idealist interpretation. This view acknowledges the primary historical context and fulfillment in John's time, but also recognizes that the themes and spiritual principles embedded within Revelation, the struggle between good and evil, God's sovereignty, human idolatry, the call to faithfulness, are timeless and recur throughout history. The beast represents any human system or power that opposes God and persecutes his people, demanding ultimate allegiance. The mark then becomes a metaphor for choosing to align with such systems, rather than an exclusive focus on a single future event. This perspective allows us to understand the prophecy's immediate relevance to John's audience, while also discerning its enduring message for believers in every generation. Part 3. The conclusion, the eternal echo. We have journeyed through history and hermeneutics, deciphering the coded language of John's revelation. We have discovered that 666 is not merely a number of superstitious dread, but a powerful historical cipher, pointing to the tyrannical Emperor Nero, a symbol of human rebellion attempting to usurp divine authority. The mark of the beast is revealed not as a futuristic gadget, but as a profound theological statement about allegiance, a spiritual brand that signifies loyalty to worldly powers that stand in opposition to God. Yet, as the candlelight flickers and the ancient words settle in our hearts, the deeper question remains: what does this mean for us today? Are we not still faced with beasts in our own time? Systems of injustice, ideologies of greed, or cultural currents that demand our ultimate allegiance? Often subtly, often insidiously. What marks do we allow to be impressed upon our lives, our values, our choices? Do we bow to the pressures of consumerism, political expediency, or social conformity, allowing them to dictate our worth and our actions? The story of 666 and the Mark of the Beast is not merely a historical footnote or a terrifying future prediction. It is an eternal call to discernment, a timeless challenge to examine where our true loyalties lie. It is a profound meditation on the nature of ultimate authority, reminding us that true freedom comes not from conforming to the demands of any earthly power, but from unwavering allegiance to the King of Kings, whose reign alone is eternal. Let us always choose wisely, seeking the mark of Christ, etched not on our hands or foreheads, but on the very core